Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news
and the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
The U.S. has lifted part of its global aid freeze to provide military financing to the Philippines. The DFA, however, hasn't revealed the specific exempted amount.
Major railway projects under the Marcos administration may not be completed due to issues in right-of-way acquisitions.
Pope Francis remains critically ill as he battles double pneumonia, but the Vatican reported a slight improvement in his condition.
And today marks the 39th anniversary of the EDSA revolution. Let's check the situation at the EDSA shrine later in the program.
The word war between former President Rodrigo Duterte and the Marcos administration continues to escalate. This time, it is newly appointed Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro who strikes back.
And Mr. Marcos is veering towards a dictatorship.
That was the latest tirade from former President Rodrigo Duterte against President Bongbong Marcos. Duterte alleged that Marcos will not step down after his term ends and might declare martial law to extend his stay in Malacanang. He made the claim during an indignation rally in Mandaue City, Cebu. Newly appointed Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro fired back, accusing Duterte of spreading baseless rumors.
Anong ebidensya? Paano mapapatunayan? Katulad na sinabi ko, hindi tayo pwedeng maniwala sa mga pang-iintriga lamang na walang ebidensya. At ito naman, siguro naman ay natatandaan ninyo, nung panahon ni dating Pangulong Duterte, inamin niya, fiscal pa lang siya, expert na siya sa pag-intriga at pagplanta ng ebidensya.
She also claimed that the former president is bent on regaining position and power in the government.
So alam na natin kung saan ang punta nila. Gusto nila ulit makuha ang power, ang authority, ang posisyon.
Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin earlier dismissed Duterte's latest tirades as baseless and absurd. He also called them a hoax from a one-man fake news factory.
Now to talk more about this, we have Michael Yusinko, Senior Research Fellow at the Ateneo Policy Center. Good morning and thanks for joining us again.
Good morning, Mike. Thank you.
Good morning to both of you at good morning to all your viewers and listeners.
Mike, of course, medyo interesting na nagiging political landscape, no? And initially, we had a president who was really quiet with the tirades of the Dutertes, but now you see them striking back. Now, my question is, do you think this recent, the appointee, si J. Ruiz, Secretary J. Ruiz, and si Undersecretary Claire Castro was specifically appointed to deflect these issues that are being thrown from the other side?
Angela, I don't know about whether that was by design or not. You know? And I also don't know if the objective is to deflect. No? I think it's pretty clear now that the intent is to fight fire with fire. No? Hindi na pwede yung when they go low, we go high. Hindi na pwede yung ganong proposition. Ano? And I think President Marcos tried to do it himself, no, in the first few rallies, no, sinubukan din niya maging sort of yung nagbibitaw din ng mga maanghang na salita, but I don't think maybe they thought he didn't do it well, or it wasn't as effective as they would want it to be, or maybe they thought doing it is beneath the office of the president, so they had to appoint someone who would do that job, no? Who would confront the attacks on the president directly. So I don't think this was to deflect, but this is more of diretsuhan na, no? Harap-harapan na tayong magbabastusan, magbabardagulan, magbabangayan.
Pero Michael, why do you think umabot sa ganung punto? Kasi 'di ba, there was a time, for the longest time, kapag binabato ng issue, pinupukol ng issue si PBBM, sakto lang yung mga reply niya, chill lang siya, 'di ba? Ayaw niyang patulan. In fact, nagkaroon pa nga supposedly ng mga leak na messages na wag na tayo mag-impeachment, hindi yan importante, etc. Why do you think na ganito na yung nangyari, humantong sa ganito? Na kailangan ng patulan yung mga ganung issues?
I think they want to really for a lack of a better term, Angela, to quote-unquote destroy the Dutertes, no? And the only way for them to do that, apart from using the resources of the administration in this election, is also really to really win big and defeat the Dutertes in the worst possible way, no? So siguro in their minds, in their calculations, mga veterans sa politika yung mga nag-a-advise sa kanya, the best way to do this is to confront the attacks directly, no? Not to be nonchalant about it, but to attack or to counter-attack.
Yeah.
Not just to parang be blasé and say, okay lang yan, relax lang tayo. So the change of tactic, I think, is indicative of their intent to not just defeat the Dutertes, but to really make them lose big. Para talagang, in the words of action stars, mabura na sila sa mundo.
Michael, I'd like to understand things. No? I don't know, kasi a lot of us are not privy to what has happened between the members of the Uni team and how this all started. Something might have happened along the way. But, looking back at the trail of their arguments after they won, wala tayong nakitang masyadong ginawa si PBBM except a few policies like maybe napakawala si Laila de Lima during his time, his pivot to the US. Pero yung hatred ng Duterte clan was immediate a few months after PBBM was voted into office. What do you think caused this hatred? What behind this? Kasi if we all remember, former President Marcos, the late former President Marcos, was buried as a hero because of former President Rodrigo Duterte. And all of a sudden, after election, ang tindi ng galit niya. What do you think happened?
There was a betrayal, obviously, Angelo. No, I think it's pretty obvious now that the Marcos side reneged on the agreement. No, I think the first time that they did that was they refused the Vice President's request to be Secretary of Defense. Right? Natatandaan nyo, she wanted to be the Secretary of Defense, no? But hindi binigay sa kanya yon, for good reason, I would say, no? So I think yung hatred, as you say, comes from that sense of betrayal. Kasi they came together in 2022, mga political dynasties, the most powerful ones, based on an agreement, no? A transactional arrangement na sige, sama-sama tayo, bibigay ko to, but I will also receive this in turn, no? Yung pinangako sa mga Dutertes, I would say, were not fulfilled. At tuloy-tuloy na yun, di ba? After that, nagkaroon na ng away with the speaker, which probably meant na somebody wanted to run for 2028 other than the Vice President, no? Which was probably part of the original agreement. So, itong klaseng pagkamuhi sa administrasyon, I would say, stems from a betrayal that came about when the administration or the Marcos administration reneged on the agreement or the arrangement they did with the other powerful dynasties in 2022.
Pero Michael, in a normal universe, ika nga, you will see dito yung mga pag-away nitong dalawa na to, may uusbong pa rin or yung at somehow makikita mo yung other true opposition na aangat sa mga survey because of this, ano. Pero somehow hindi naman yun nangyayari. So where is the true opposition in this picture as of now?
Well, Angela, your guess is as good as mine. Yun din yung hinahanap natin, ano, where are they? No, because the political discourse now is really a clash of the two narratives, no? The Marcos narrative and the Duterte narrative. At nagbabangayan sila, nagbabardagulan sila. Where are the politicians who can offer a much enlightened narrative? Yun ang hinahanap natin.
Yeah.
Kasi you will
So
see, no?
maybe maybe they're
Go
not
ahead.
given the platform. Maybe they are not given the opportunity to express themselves. Or maybe they are just trying to copy the narratives of those two clashing sides, no, na gusto rin nilang sumabay dun sa Bangayan, sa Bardagulan at sa Bastusan, ano. So those are possible reasons that I can think of.
Pero Michael, you will see this, the Duterte camp, no? They were ones, while he was in power, PRRD was speaking out against the People Power Revolution, EDSA as a failed revolution. He called it a coup, he called it a revolt. He stopped short of calling it an event that sparked democracy. But now, you will hear the Duterte camp, more often than not, talking about EDSA in a positive light. So now you see them pivoting to the same stance that the yellows and the pinks have been talking all about. So do you think this is the position that they're trying to take right now amidst this fight that they're having with the Marcos clan?
O dagdagan ko lang yun, Michael, kasi nung time na nagpa-press conference si VP Sara after na maihain yung impeachment against her, she even reiterated yung mga pumapalakpak sa Department of Education, mga staff niya, no, rather sa Office of the Vice President. Sabi niya, mga makaleni pa yan. She even said that. Your thoughts on that po?
Alam mo nyo, to parang fashion the Duterte side as becoming like an anti-Marcos movement or an anti-Marcos force is probably giving them too much credit. Ano? I think the Duterte side really are just motivated by two things, I think. The first one is that betrayal that they feel, and also to get power back, as the new undersecretary said, no, they want to get power back. So
That's right.
I don't think they want to fashion themselves as like the genuine or the true opposition to the Marcos side or the Marcos administration, and I don't think they're capable of doing that anyway. So they're really very crude in the sense that they're open to what they want. They want the Marcos administration to fail,
Yeah,
and for them to fill that vacuum again.
that's right. Pero Michael, let's understand the political landscape of the Philippines. Since 1983, the landscape we've all come to grow, I mean, our generation is to know, is about there is an Aquino side, there is a Marcos side, all the way up to President Duterte when he won the elections.
When he changed everything.
Aquino, Marcos. Now, do you think that the Aquino faction of the political side is gone and you're just seeing a Duterte, Marcos, and a Robredo in this scenario?
It certainly looks that way, no? But my reaction to that is we should resist it, no? That's why I'm very much against the surveys that are coming out depicting our political landscape as between just two sides, no? With the minor third side trying to get in. Because it just reinforces that kind of thinking that our politics is only about these big names.
Yes.
And for me, I would resist that as aggressively and as strongly as I possibly can, because it shouldn't be that way, no? It shouldn't. Our politics shouldn't be about this battle, which I think is just a playground fight between two big families, no? So it certainly looks that way, Angelo, especially because of what the survey firms are doing, reinforcing that kind of picture. But I think as Filipinos, given the true spirit of EDSA, which is against tyranny and restoring democracy, I would say we should resist. We should resist that kind of thinking.
Yeah.
And bring back really what EDSA was all about, which is about us, no? People power. It's about the people, not about one family pitted against the other.
And you spoke about people power, and now it's today is the 25th, and people are asking, well, those who fought now in the in the EDSA in the streets are saying, oh, well, we're back at it right now. We have a Marcos in the picture. We have a Duterte speaking out against the Marcos. But one thing people have been asking is why isn't Leni Robredo speaking out as the true opposition? It should be high time daw that maybe nagparinig siya, because a lot of the people in the middle are confused. Asan ba tayo? Who are the Dutertes? Who are the Marcoses? Where do we stand? What do you think about this?
Well, I can't speak for the former vice president. You know, she knows what she needs to do. Certainly, she hears the clamor from her supporters and also from those who are in the middle, quote unquote. But again, I would rather just call out the many civil society leaders and media and also the academics that keep on reinforcing that kind of narrative that we need someone against the Marcos or we need someone against the Dutertes. No? What we really need is for the people, us citizens, to realize that
We
power
deserve
is
so much
within
better
our
than
hands,
this. Ganon.
right? The power is within our hands, no? And we hold the power. That's really the essence of EDSA, that we just shouldn't be swayed by the personalities
Yeah.
that we saw on TV. No?
I agree, but before we go, I'd like to say, I don't know if you agree with this, but sabi nila, we have to remember that the EDSA revolution is not owned by any political family, clan, or party, but rather it is owned by the people. Somewhere along the way lang, some politicians took advantage of EDSA.
I agree with that 100%. No? That's why I'm really, I hope you don't, baka kasi parang sirang plaka na ako, no? Na, we have to resist that narrative. We have to resist that story that EDSA was about Aquinos and the Marcoses, and now it's being fashioned to be the Marcoses versus the Dutertes. No, EDSA is a people power revolution, and therefore it's about the people. About your mom, your dad, my mom, and Angela's parents, and kung sino man, kasi baka si Angela bata pa noon. No, so it's about us. It's about us who fought tyranny and fought to restore democracy. Hindi yun ang kwento, hindi about the political families that were by chance leading the fight.
All right.
Thank you for your insights. That was Michael Yusinko, a Senior Research Fellow at the Ateneo Policy Center. Thank you for joining us.
Maraming salamat din.
Bilang Pilipino, bilang Pilipino.
The COMELEC formed a task force to regulate survey firms during the election period. It's called Task Force Regulation and Enforcement of Survey Practices for Election Credibility and Transparency, or Task Force Respect. Prior to this, the poll body announced that all survey firms must now register with the poll body. COMELEC, though, clarified that they are not against all surveys, as the task force only enforces certain guidelines.
Para din ma-exclude natin yung mga kabuti na lang na parang mga mushroom na nagsulputan ng mga survey organization na talaga namang ang purpose lang ay magpabayad para sabihin kung ang isang kandidato ay kunyari ay nandito sa place na to o nandyan sa slot na yan.
The United States has exempted a portion of its foreign military financing to the Philippines from its global freeze on foreign aid. This was confirmed by the Department of Foreign Affairs spokesperson Teresita Daza. The DFA, however, did not disclose the exact amount exempted by the U.S. government. The agency added that the Philippines and the U.S. remain committed to their treaty alliance and to strengthening defense cooperation and interoperability.
So it's a welcome development nga, Ika, nga, kasi a lot of mga US foreign aids freeze ngayon for 90 days at nakasama dyan yung natin, yung education sector.
They'll be auditing kasi daw the US will be
Yes.
auditing.
Pero ito, by doing this, meron tayong waiver na nakuha mula sa kanila na tuloy-tuloy lang. Pero yung amount, hindi natin alam.
Alam ko amount daw for the basic needs ang ibibigay eh.
Yeah.
Oo.
Alright.
Alright, coming up. Calls for prayers for Pope Francis continues as he remains in critical condition.
And how does the new transportation chief plan to address the delays in railway projects? We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News.
Today, All right,
In
go
other
ahead.
news, ongoing railway projects hit a roadblock due to right-of-way issues. That's one of the challenges now to Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon, who has just formally begun his work. He vows to see through DOTR projects to completion, including the nearly finished north to south commuter railway stations and bridges in Bulacan. But News 5 sources say work on these structures could stop in 3 to 6 months if the government does not acquire properties affected by the projects.
We will do everything we can to speed things up, because that's the order of the president. Sabi ng Pangulo natin, kailangan pabilisin kasi hirap na yung mga kababayan natin. And then they need these projects to go online as quickly as possible.
The Department of Public Works and Highways said the EDSA rehabilitation project will likely begin in the second half of March. DPWH Secretary Manuel Bonoan said they will prioritize the southbound lane, citing more alternate routes for motorists, revising the initial plan to start with the northbound lane. Bonoan added they aim to engage multiple construction firms to ensure 24-hour operations. They will finalize the exact timetable in the coming days. The goal is to complete the rehabilitation in time for the Philippines hosting of the ASEAN Summit in 2026.
Yun. Yung sa issue naman dun sa railway projects natin, yung right-of-way acquisition, medyo sila ang tawag doon na may tenga sila doon sa batas, di ba?
Matagal na sila may tenga doon eh.
Yeah, because yung sa JICA where we had an agreement,
Yeah.
at saka ADB where we loaned the money for this project, ang nakalagay daw doon sa agreement is kailangan bayaran muna yung mga yung nasa yung may-ari ng
Yes,
ng
lupa.
mga lupa doon sa right of
At
way.
saka ang problema pa dito is there's a dispute between fair market value and actual value.
Yes.
Oh.
So ngayon, doon sa under our right of way act law naman, ang
Oo.
nakalagay doon pwedeng bayaran in tranches.
In tranches, oo.
'Di ba? Tapos kapag nagsimula na, pwede pa rin bayaran.
Saka naging problem dito kasi a lot of areas were already, a lot of homeowners nagbenta na and lot owners. Pero may a few owners na in critical parts of the project daw na nakaharang, hindi pa ayaw bumigay. So therefore, the project as a whole, nahihirapan
Nakatenga talaga sila.
Nakatenga sa kanila.
Oo.
Alright, well, today is February 25, as we were talking about kanina, and we are commemorating the 39th anniversary of the EDSA People Power Revolution. Let's
Now,
go ahead.
let's
Sorry.
discuss this further with Filipino public historian Xiao Chua. Prof, good morning and thanks for joining us again today.
Yeah. Prof, thank you for joining us.
Inyong dalawa at sa lahat ng ating mga kapatid.
Yeah, Prof, let's start off. Now, what's the significance of this EDSA specifically? This is the second EDSA, I think, with Marcos in power.
Well, naging extra significant because they only made it a special working holiday. So parang ang nangyari pa dyan, instead na lumipas lang, lalo tuloy pinag-usapan at nagkaroon pa ng bold move ang maraming eskwelahan. According to the count of Philippine Institute for Student Democracy, there are already about more than 400 schools who are who suspended their classes already. So napakarami po. So parang lalo pang pinag-usapan ang people power because of this.
Parang
So I'm very happy.
Parang lalong uminit pa, no, Prof?
Oo.
Oo nga po, yun na nga po yun.
Pero Prof, why do you think hindi naman biglaan, pero why do you think parang nagkaroon ng bold move ngayon, no? At this point in time? Because we all can remember na nasimula na downgrade ang EDSA, ang significance ng EDSA revolution since Duterte administration up until now. And now, nagkaroon nga ng biglang bold move itong mga eskwelahan and other civic organizations. Why do you think that's so, Prof?
Well, dati naman kasi holiday naman talaga siya. Pero of course, no, parang 2 taon na yata na ang President Marcos Jr. administration ay ginagawa lang itong working holiday. And ako, siguro kailangan tanungin natin ng Lasal, bakit niya naisip at siya naman talaga yung nanguna. Kaya nagka-cascade, nagsunod-sunod yung and I think it's also because we have to realize that the Catholic Church have a big role in people power revolution. In the people power revolution, si Cardinal Sin, yung mga pari, yung mga madre, kaya hindi dapat nila ito kalimutan.
Yeah, I'd like to ask you about that, Prof. Kasi Angela and I also teach on the side, and we have the chance to speak to young minds. And it's surprising to see that despite of the overwhelming majority ni President Marcos and the UNI team, there are still a lot of people who, even if they're not familiar with EDSA per se, but they believe what happened in EDSA. And these are young minds. Now, what do you think is happening na biglang nagkaka-pivot in the last 2-3 years recently na young minds are starting to be interested in these events that happened?
Well, before I answer your question, I'm actually here in front of Camp Karame.
Ayun,
No, parang nangingilabot lang that while we're doing this interview, we are here in this very historic spot. Ano?
Yes, so,
where the people power happened. But anyway, ito nga yung ano dyan, na yung mga kabataan nakakatuwa dahil it's really, sometimes 39 years, that's already history eh.
Yeah.
Kung World War II yan, history na yan. Ang problem, we have political dynasties, they're still running the show, and so that is why ang problema, nagiging parang it's still an issue today because of that. So dahil nagiging parang contemporary, di ba, dahil Marcos ang nakaupo, di ba, tas tungkol sa tatay niya yung people power din, di ba, in a way, pagpapatalsik sa kanya. Kaya parang, of course, some people na may mga political interest, ginagamit din yung people power, no, laban sa kanya. So, but then again, we have to always remind ourselves that itong people power na ito, hindi lang ito sa ilang sektor lang, hindi kahit kaming mga yellows, kaming mga atom, August 21 movement, may papel dyan, hindi lang yan para sa amin. Ito'y para sa buong sambayan ng Pilipino. Ito'y tagumpay nating lahat.
Correct.
Pero going back dun sa mga few years ago since the start nga of Duterte administration to this point that we are in right now, what do you think what happened before nung nagkaroon ng hindi nagkaroon ng disengagement yung mga tao tungkol sa EDSA and to the point na they latched to that idea of the Duterte administration na oo nga, ano lang yung EDSA, dito lang sa Metro Manila lang yan, etc. Prof.
Well, tandaan natin na yung frustrations after People Power Revolution, all the frustrations that happened, no, ay isinisi sa isang political bloc, which is unfair. Kasi, di ba, hindi lang naman yellow lahat ng nakaupong presidente noon eh. Kaso nangyari, to destroy the narrative of EDSA, inilab lahat yung mga problema ng bayan, parang sinisi sa isang administrasyon o sa isang pamilya, hindi naman ganun yun. So, pero, the frustrations are real. Kasi nga, ang hirap din pala ng road para sa pagpapanday ng demokrasya. Hindi siya madali. Kaya kailangan maging realistic tayo. Sobrang kasing taas ng expectation ng people power na after matapos si Marcos, gaganda na yung buhay natin. But that is a process. Hanggang ngayon, ating tinatahak. So, that's why kailangan natin ng inspirasyon, lalong-lalo na ng people power, para sabihin natin sa sarili natin, kaya natin itong mga hamon na ito, wala tayong hindi pwedeng marating. At yun naman yung nangyari nung EDSA People Power, napatalsik natin ang diktador, which was almost impossible to happen at that time.
Yeah, Prof, you mentioned kasi we were talking about in disengagement of people. History will tell us that the most successful historical accounts or stories came down to a personal level of individual people. You have Jose Rizal,
Right.
You have it from the perspective of sa panahon nila Hitler, yung the actual people who were in Auschwitz. And my mom was telling me that maybe the failure of EDSA was people forgot to bring it down to the level of the heroes who fought for that day. Nangyari, naging isang political block ang narrative, imbis na yung lahat na lumaban, the nuns, the priests, everyone who were fighting, hindi na ikwento ng maayos. What is your take on that?
Well, over the years kasi tama yung mama mo na si June Kitley. Of course, siya ang naggabay, boses na naggabay sa media, sa mga tao dito sa EDSA, June Kitley. Ako po, kailangang makita natin na ang nangyari kasi dyan, kapag tumatagal yung panahon noon, parang nagiging parang simplistic yung kwento natin. So tama, we must go back again to the personal stories of people who went there, bakit sila pumunta doon, what are their personal circumstances.
Yeah.
And there are many books that you can read, yung people power, yung puti na libro,
Yes.
pwedeng balikan ng mga mamamayan yun. Pero yun na nga, sana balikan nila. May video na linabas ang recently, yung EDSA 25, hanapin nyo yun.
Correct.
Marami pang iba ng mga documentaries. Ang mga bata, marami namang materials. Ang kailangan sigurong ituro sa kanila, yung critical thinking.
That's right.
Paano i-analyze yung mga napapanood nila, nababasa nila, na kailangan tumingin tayo sa evidence, di ba?
Yes, oo.
Kung may opinion man tayo about anything, yan din yung tinuturo ng EDSA yung kailangan informed ka, kailangan nakikialam ka, para hindi ka mangmang tungkol sa nangyayari sa bayan mo at may magawa ka.
Parang isang sabi mo, kanina dumaan ka sa EDSA, and, di ba may goosebumps ka, Prof? There was a video that we were playing while you were speaking. It was the helicopter of Colonel Sotelo. Not a lot of people know that story. That ako, when I saw that, nag-goosebumps ako because I was already of right mind and sound age when Colonel Sotelo changed the whole narrative of EDSA with that specific decision, last-minute decision to land. Baka you could tell us more about it para malaman ng kabataan these little heroes that came around.
Ito nga actually nasa likuhan ko yung ito sa mga heroes ng EDSA. Nasa ba si Ed Mercader? Ito
Ayan,
yan,
oh.
ayan. Ito Ed Mercader ng Ato. Nandito kami sa Ortigas Corner EDSA ngayon mismo. I have goosebumps. Dito nila hinarangan yung mga tangke na papunta dito si General Artemio Tadyar ng Marines. No?
Mhm.
So papunta sila dito para puksain yung mga rebelde pero pinigilan sila ng tao kasi ang order sa Malacanang lusubin ang Camp Kramen para mapulbos ang RAM. No? Pero ito matindi dyan. Yung sinasabi mo nga, yung in-orderan yun, sigurado yun. Pag yun ang sumunod, yung Air Force, si Colonel Antonio Sotelo, pag yun ang sumunod, talagang patay, ubos ang mga rebelde doon. Pero ubos din ang mga tao. Maraming mamamatay doon, maraming collateral damage pag nangyari yun. So ang order sa kanila is strike. No? Pero ang ginawa ho nila, hindi ho sila nag-strike. Alam nyo, nung na-intercept ng Ramos yun, alam nyo, nagpamisa na si Enrile eh. Nagpamisa na si Enrile, nagbasa na ng Bible si Ramos kasi protestante. They really thought that they're going to die. Pero sabi nga nila, nung umikot na yung helicopter ni Sotelo dun sa grounds ng Camp Aguinaldo, naghiyawan na yung tao, bababa sila. So, nung nagkaroon na ng air power, yung mga rebels, yung mga RAM, ang nangyari doon, inutusan nila si Major Hotchkiss yata yun, hindi ako nagkakamali sa rango niya, to strike Malacanang. So, meron silang na para lang takutin sina Marcos, no? At sumuko na. At ang nangyari doon, may napatay silang mga 2 fighting cocks. Yun lang. Pero not to kill anyone, no? Not to kill any human being just to give them a scare. So yun ang turnaround din yun ng EDSA Revolution. Isa sa mga turning point yun na may air support na at na-realize na ni Marcos na bilang na yung oras nila sa Malacanang.
Alright, sige. I'm sure busy ka today, Prof. But thank you so much for giving us your time for today. Ingat po kayo, Professor Chow Chua.
God bless po sa inyong lahat at mabuhay po ang sambayan ng Pilipino.
Alright, in other news, the Agriculture Department is set to conduct inspections of onion warehouses nationwide this week. This aims to curb potential hoarding and price manipulation. DA Chief Francisco Tiu Laurel Jr. said the Bureau of Plant Industry will take charge of these inspections. Some reports state that newly harvested supplies are being withheld from the market. Onion harvests were expected to begin in February, which should have provided fresh supplies to ease prices. Red onions are currently priced between 140 and 240 pesos per kilo, while white onions are around 110 to 160 pesos per kilo.
Joining us now is DA Deputy Spokesperson Attorney Joycel R. Panlilio.
Good morning.
Good morning, Attorney.
Magandang umaga po.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us today. Can you tell us more about this inspection na mangyayari this week headed by the Bureau of Plant and Industry and of course ang Department of Agriculture?
Yes, dahil po kasi sa nababalita na may mga nag-hoard po ng sibuyas na maaari pong makaapekto po doon sa kasalukuyang presyo po sa merkado, ay inutos po ni Secretary Chu Laurel na mag-inspect po ang aming ALU monitoring team sa lahat po ng warehouses. At kung sakali pong makita na meron pong mga stocks na hindi po nilalabas, ay magkakaroon po ng karampatang aksyon po ang aming departamento para po masiguro po natin na mailalabas po ang mga stocks na to kung sakali man pong meron para po gumanda po ang presyo ng ating sibuyas.
Kasi po nung 2022, if I'm not mistaken, umabot po tayo sa halos 700 pesos per kilo ng mga sibuyas eh. How can we make sure na hindi na po tayo humantong sa ganung pagkakataon ulit?
Ang ginagawa po kasi namin kung inyo pong natatandaan, meron po tayong inallow na importation po ng 30,000 metric tons ng red onions at 1,000 metric tons po of white onions. Ang purpose po kasi nito is kung magkaroon man po ng supply gap sa atin pong merkado, ay maiibsan po nito kung ano man po yung posibleng gap sa supply at hindi po mangyari pong muli yung nangyari po noong 2022.
Okay, that's good to know po. And ano po ba yung timeline natin dito sa pagko-conduct ng inspection sa mga warehouses? At can you tell us also ano po yung mga magiging parusa kapag napatunayan po itong mga warehouses na to ay nananamantala at talagang nag-hoard ng mga supplies ng onions?
In-expect po natin na sa simula po kahapon hanggang sa susunod po na mga araw, mga 4 to 7 days po, ay in-expect po natin na matatapos na po ang pag-inspect sa ating mga warehouses at magsasubmit po ng report sa ating kalihim ang aming Alyon team. Kung sakali man pong may makita po tayong nag-hoard, ay considered po ito as economic sabotage na maaari pong maparusahan ng kulong at multa po. Ayon po doon sa ating bagong batas na naipasa po last year. Yung anti-agricultural economic sabotage, at kung hindi po dito ay pwede rin po nating tingnan yung mga provision po ng ating Price Act.
Over the years po ba, meron po ba kayong data po sa inyo to tell us, to share us yung mga nangyari po before ng mga inspection, ng mga nahuli din, mga naguhoard? Kasi, ang memory po natin, parang wala pa po ako nakikita mga talagang napaparusahan, kaya po paulit-ulit na nangyayari po ito eh.
Sa ngayon po, yung listahan po kung alin po ang mga nag-hoard, ay wala pa pong listahan sa ngayon dahil meron po kasi tayong inaabangan pa po ng mga report kung sino po yung mga gumawa. Dahil kung naalala po ninyo, nagkaroon po ng investigasyon sa ating Kongreso tungkol po dito.
Can you enlighten us also po, attorney, kasi yun nga, a lot of people are saying, why are we announcing na merong mangyayaring inspection sa mga warehouses? Baka daw mabigyan ng ample time ang mga may-ari ng warehouse na, alam mo, linisin yung stocks nila para hindi makita na nag-hoard pala sila.
Kung mangyari man po yung inyong sinasabi at maganda po kung ilalabas po nila ito sa merkado para po mawala na po yung sinasabing pagtatago po ng mga stocks sa kanilang mga warehouses.
Sa ngayon po, attorney, may tinitignan po ba tayong mga specific warehouses or are we planning to do random checks in different areas?
Ang aming pong objective sana ay ang ma-imbestiga po or makita po at mabisita lahat po ng mga warehouses na nasa listahan po ng ating Bureau of Plant Industry na meron pong authorized na mag-store po ng mga sibuyas.
Okay.
Alright, I guess patuloy na lang po kaming makikipag-ugnayan po sa inyo regarding this inspection. For the meantime, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras sa DA Deputy Spokesperson Attorney Joycel R. Panlilio. Maraming salamat po.
Magandang umaga po muli at salamat po.
Don't go away because we're not done yet. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. Faithful gathered at St. Peter's Square for a prayer service for Pope Francis. Here's the report.
Pope Francis' condition has slightly improved, the Vatican said on Monday. It added that his slight kidney problem was not a cause for concern. The 88-year-old pontiff was spending his 11th day in Rome's Gemelli Hospital. This is his longest hospital stay in his nearly 12-year papacy. The Pope was diagnosed of double pneumonia, a serious infection that affects both lungs. The Vatican earlier has described the Pope's infection as complex. On Monday evening, faithful gathered at St. Peter's Square on for a prayer service. It was led by Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the second most senior official in the Vatican. The service is the first of continuing nightly prayers in the square.
I think it's quite somber, just because how early it is, I suppose. I agree, quite somber.
Wyjeżdżając, to już była informacja, że jest przecież w szpitalu i już się martwiliśmy i tu trzeci raz jesteśmy i cały czas po prostu z modlitwą, że może jednak jeszcze, że może jeszcze popracuje troszeczkę, bo on pracuje cały czas, prawda?
Now, as we've discussed earlier, today marks the 39th anniversary of the 1986 People Power Revolution. For the latest updates on the ground, we have mobile journalist Amy Atienza. Hey Amy, what's going on there?
Yes, good morning. Of course, nandito nga tayo ngayon sa People Power Monument kung saan nakita natin ang isa sa mga unang aktibidad na isinagawa dito kasama na nga ang wrestling activity na pinangunahan ng National Historical Commission pati na rin ng Quezon City Local Government Unit. Mamaya abangan daw natin dito na may mga pupuntang mga estudyante at ilan na rin daw mga grupo na para manawagan hindi lamang dito sa anniversary ng EDSA People Power Revolution, kundi pati na rin daw sa impeachment ni Vice President Sara Duterte. At kanina, may ilan tayong nakapanayam na nakiisa dito sa wrestling activity at sinabi nila na gusto lang daw talaga nilang maipalaganap at hindi malimutan ng mga Pilipino ang selebrasyon ng EDSA Revolution. So yung peaceful rallies na nagawa natin before, hopefully daw ay maalala pa rin ng mga Pilipino. At kung maalala din natin, ilang universidad at ilang eskwelahan na ang nagsuspinde ng kanilang pasok for today kahit dineklara ng Pangulo na ito ay isang special working day.
Amy, tama ba yung narinig ko ang messaging ng itong EDSA activities? Pati yung impeachment ni VP Sara sinama dyan? Or isang grupo lang ba yan o several groups yan na iba-ibang mensahe?
Yes, iba't ibang grupo na may mensahe dito na pagpatuloy nga daw ang impeachment ni Vice President Sara Duterte at meron din dito na parang gusto nilang ibalik na history repeats itself daw kasi hanggang ngayon nananawagan tayo sa mga Marcos na iwasan ang korupsyon pati na rin yung pag-suppress ng rights ng mga Pinoy.
Alright, Amy, sino mga notable personalities na ma-expect natin dyan today?
Well, kanina nakita na natin dito si Attorney Chel Jokno, nandito din si Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte kanina. Pero aasahan din natin na pupunta pa rito ang Akbayan Party List at baka nga raw pumunta din dito si Senator Kiko Pangilinan. Mamaya, expect din natin yung activity na magsisimula siya sa EDSA Shrine. Magkakaroon sila ng walk from EDSA Shrine papunta dito sa People Power Monument at titingnan natin kung sino pa nga ba yung mga notable personalities na abangan natin. Pero yun muna so far yung update dito.
Amy, over the past couple of days, nakita natin na iba't ibang mga Catholic schools ang nakiisa na magsuspend ng kanilang mga klase today para nga daw sa commemoration ng EDSA People Power Revolution. May mga estudyante ba ngayon dyan na dumadalo at nakikiisa nga ng selebrasyong ito?
Na may ilang mga estudyante na dito, isang grupo actually ng mga students na nag-abang dito sa People Power Monument. Pero yung ilan daw kasi mga schools na hindi pa nagsususpend, meron pa raw silang walkout activity na mangyayari doon sa mga university nila. Nakita din natin yan sa announcement ng Polytechnic University of the Philippines na mamayang 11:30, magsisimula yung walkout nila. Pupunta sila dito sa may EDSA Shrine up until here sa People Power Monument. At inaasahan nga daw, sabi ng mga otoridad dito, not around 2 p.m. dami na talaga yung dagsa ng tao. At yun nga, ready naman yung mga otoridad dito. Kasama na natin yung QCPD dito at around 850 daw yung deployed na police dito sa People Power Monument. So sa flock ng tao na maaasahan natin mamayang hapon, syempre ready na din talaga ang ating mga otoridad kung sakaling meron mang anomalya na mangyari dito.
Amy, you mentioned 2 p.m. ang magiging peak, possibly peak ng tao. Ano ba ang magiging traffic situation ngayon dyan? Because syempre madami nagtatanong, madaming dumadaan that EDSA and White Plains is a very critical point sa traffic.
Yes, so far wala naman daw plano na i-close yung mga daan dito, pero ang paalala na nga lang din daw talaga ng mga otoridad, wag daw
Amy,
Pihit ng konti. Medyo nag-ano ka
Kung
lang.
Wala ka.
iwasan yung pagdaan sa mga ganito alternative routes naman daw.
Yon.
Ayan, sorry. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Ayan, so paalala ng mga otoridad na kung kaya daw na sa alternative routes dumaan, doon na lang daw dumaan kasi nga sa dami ng tao na inaasahan ngayong araw, kabilang ng mga estudyante pati na rin mga rallyista, baka nga raw mag-traffic pero no plans naman daw na ipasara yung daan dito sa White Plains Avenue pati na rin dun sa EDSA sa may Ortigas Corner.
Linawin ko lang Amy, kasi hindi kita masyado maintindihan kanina when you were discussing yung iba't ibang activities nga to commemorate the EDSA People Power Revolution. Kasi I remember before the Duterte administration, talagang malaki at magarbo yung mga selebrasyon dyan to the point na may mga helicopter pa na
Flyby.
Oo, 'di ba? Tapos may mga confetti, etc. And right after that, may mga tour sa museum, makeshift museums about the EDSA People Power. Ngayon ba may mga ganun pa rin ba ngayon?
Yes, may mga activities pa rin naman katulad ng museum tour pero kung ganun ka-grand, not so much kasi nga nung nakausap din natin yung ilan dito na madalas na daw pumupunta sa ganitong commemoration, sabi nila na naka-apekto daw talaga kasi na special working day ngayon. So mas kokonti yung may chance para sumama dito sa mga ganitong commemoration. So yun yung sinasabi nila dito pero yung museum tours tuloy-tuloy pa rin naman yan at may ilang personalities na nga rin tayo nakita na may planong pumunta sa mga ganyan. So, titingnan din natin kung ano nga ba yung magiging takbo for the Quezon City local government unit para makita natin kung patuloy nga yung magiging celebration dito sa EDSA at 39.
And maybe just a few more questions or maybe lastly, Amy, right now kasi we're looking on the feed natin sa One News page na nag-walk out na nga yung mga estudyante ng PUP. Aside from PUP, sino pa ba other schools na, kasi understood, Catholic schools, meron talagang no classes ngayon. Aside from PUP, do we expect any other schools sa gahanay ng public sector like UP to follow suit? At ano magiging crowd estimate natin?
Well, nag-invite na din si University of the Philippines sa iba't ibang schools para makiisa nga sa kanila. So from UP Diliman, pupunta sila dito sa People Power Monument at sa EDSA Shrine. So kasama din talaga yan. Meron din ilang mga private schools na bagamay hindi na nag-suspend pero in-online na yung pasok. At yun nga, may ilang mga estudyante na rin ako nakausap prior today na sabi nila talagang susubukan muna nila na hindi pumasok dahil nga gusto nilang makiisa dito. So kahit may online classes, katulad na nga lang sa Far Eastern University, may ilan dito na makikisama. At yun na nga din, mga estudyante from University of the East, nandito na rin. Sila yung mga nakausap ko kanina dito.
Lastly, Amy, sabi mo kanina, 2 o'clock, probably yung peak ng mga tao dyan. And base nga dun sa mga list of activities, hanggang anong oras naman para dun sa mga gusto pang humabol or para dun sa mga gustong iwasan yung traffic dyan sa EDSA?
Well, from 2 p.m. na magkakaroon sila ng marcha, meron pa rin daw yung mga prayer vigils and program. Pero yung program nila, nakaset lang daw talaga yan hanggang 6 p.m. So from 2 to 6, dun lang inaasahan na magkakaroon talaga ng programa dito sa may People Power Monument. Pero dun sa EDSA Shrine, patuloy din naman kanina pa, simula kaninang umaga, na merong misa para i-commemorate nga itong EDSA 39 at magtatapos din yan at around 6 or 7 p.m. Pero yun nga, kung meron pa daw naman gusto kasing maging aktibidad, yung mga dadalo dito, ay patuloy pa rin naman daw. Pero yun nga, yung mga organizers kasi dito hanggang 6 p.m. lang daw dito sa People Power Monument.
Alright, maraming salamat sa iyong update. That was Mobile Journal Amy Atienza reporting live from the EDSA People Power Monument.
Yun, so daming balita today.
So as we
daming
speak,
guests.
I mean 10 minutes ago,
Yes,
as
as I
you
mentioned,
mentioned kanina, no, there's a walkout currently happening dyan sa Polytechnic University of the Philippines, which is, they announced it na rin naman na yesterday, diba, that they're going to do it. Yun nga, sa may Santa Mesa campus, to join daw in commemorating the 39th anniversary of the EDSA People
Actually,
Power
since, as sinabi ni Professor Xiao Chu, since 2016 until now, medyo serene at medyo intimate ang nagiging celebration ng EDSA. But because of what happened na hindi nag-declare ng holiday and ibang schools ay nagalit, sabi ni Professor Xiao Chua, mas gumising pa ang mga pro-EDSA forces. So we see the numbers on the live feed we had kanina of the students, medyo madami-dami ito. So we expect more. Case in point, we have 800 policemen already going to be deployed along EDSA, the shrine where we usually commemorate the revolution.
And looking at the reports over the past couple of days, as per Professor Xiao Chua also, sabi rin niya, it was Lasal daw who spearheaded nga itong mga pagdedeklara ng walang pasok sa kanilang mga eskwelahan.
Kasi all know naman the Catholic...
Parang, tama ba? Sabi niya 400 schools na as of now yung mga
all over the country ang may kanya-kanyang declaration because the Catholic Church had a big say no EDSA Revolution. So,
spiritual
kanya-kanya
din
silang.
kasi yun nung nangyari nung EDSA People Power.
Kasi may...
Where were you nung EDSA People Power?
Secret yun. Tinago. We were, well, para ma-share lang, before we go quickly, we were hidden kasi hinahanap po kami before ng pro-admin group. So, my mom was speaking up against the Marcos regime at that time. So, tinago kami ng daddy ko in a safe house. And we were guarded rotationally by ramp soldiers.
Yung radio where your mom was broadcasting is right in front of Malacanang.
Ironically, it was 80 to 100 meters away from Malacanang. Ang hanap ng hanap ang mga sundalo, hindi nila mahanap. Yung pala, my mom was just a stone's throw away from Malacanang. So,
right under their noses.
Right under their noses. Ayun. So that's really, truly a event na hindi ko makalimutan as a kid. But before we let you go, I'd like to leave everyone with a quote that maybe knock some sense into our minds and into our hearts. May freedom be seen, not as the right to do as we please, but as the opportunity to please to do what is right. Remember that. That's a quote from Peter Marshall. And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
And I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.